Surviving infidelity. My beloved wife cheated on me and my daughter isn't mine. How can I move forward as well as shake angry feelings? This is gonna be a long one. My wife and I were married for 21 years. I figured it was one of those miracle marriages because we barely argued, seemed I always be the best of friends, etc. Well, our 15-year-old daughter received a 23andMe thing for her birthday from a friend. And of course, it said we weren't related. She had me do a swab, as well as her mother and her 14-year-old brother. Only her brother and I seemed to be related. So, I did a paternity test afterwards and lo and behold, she wasn't my freaking child. My ex-wife cried and pleaded for me to hear her out, but I just went numb to her. It would be one thing to cheat, but to find out the light of my life isn't even too related to me, killed me. Don't get me wrong, I love my daughter with all of my heart. She's still my daughter no matter what. But what's scaring me most is my seemingly vindictive desires. I've never been like this, and I know it's out of anger, but I want her to suffer so bad. The kids absolutely hate her. Which on one end helps that desire, but I know that deep down, she is still their mother and I don't really want them to hate her. Her parents and siblings all are mortified at her. Her sister hasn't spoken to her in a couple months. We all grew up together, so it hit hard for everyone. Again, this makes me feel great, which in turn scares me, because I don't actually want her life to go into shambles. But I can't help feel euphoric when I learn something and her life is falling apart. Both children are living with me, as they don't view their mother in a favorable light at all right now. I'm thinking about having the talk about them going to talk to her, because as of now, they refuse. The part that breaks my heart the most is that my daughter seems to be overcompensating her roles of a daughter. She makes sure to tell me how much she loves me, and is in essence, being the perfect daughter. But I can tell it's because she knows that she isn't biologically mine, but she desperately wants me to know how much she values me. I'm actually going to talk to her tonight about that. To tell her that she doesn't have to act differently. I just really want to know how to shake the sadness and angry, vindictive feelings. I want to move forward as well as help my children move forward, so they can worry about school and being teens. Please, any advice will help. Now for the top advice. This situation is way above Reddit's pay grade. You and the children need therapy. ASAP. Having said that, let me offer a few pointers from my own experience. Kids don't care about biology. Your daughter will always see you as her father. I love my 2 stepdaughters as much as my 2 biological daughters. Full stop. But she might be worried about you leaving, as I'm sure she's picking up on the anger you have towards her mother. She might be wishing she could never see her mother again, and then making the jump to assuming you are having similar thoughts, and now could act on them as she isn't your daughter. You absolutely need to reassure her that you are in that dad/daughter relationship with her for the long haul. You need to channel that anger to something productive, or at least not needlessly destructive. Needful destruction could be finally demolishing that old garden wall that's been sitting there for 10 years. Assuming you are in the States, my understanding is that 14 is the age at which most courts will start to take the child's opinion under consideration. You should be consulting with your lawyer, you have one, right? About how you should be handling the children with regards to seeing their mother. In my opinion, you should be assuring the children that if they want to see their mother, that you will understand and not hold it against them. As you shouldn't. Stay strong, and channel that anger into something productive. Get therapy. Talk to other infidelity survivors. Don't drink to excess. Start working out if you don't already. Do stuff with the kids. A day at a time. That's how the hurt and anger go away. You just have to distract yourself until enough time has passed. Good luck. Having found out my dad isn't my biological dad, I cannot stress this enough. Get therapy for you and the children. It really messes with your head. It sounds as though you are a loving and wonderful father. I don't necessarily think that anger is harmful as long as it doesn't push you to bad decisions. You should be angry. And that anger will get you through the early part. It will be replaced soon enough. And your children should be angry at her as well. They have grown up with a liar. They may or may not come to not hate her. My mother's infidelity in my teens has remained with me for 40 years now. I have no use for her and she can die alone when time comes. Sorry you have joined us in this club, but there are good and helpful people here. You're still carrying the water for your wife, stop that. Let the kids decide by themselves if/when they want to talk to their mother, it's their relationship. Please don't force your teenage kids to interact with their mother. As a child whose father forced him to see his mother, I hated them both for it. I understood why, but it didn't change how I felt. Just like you Your kids need time to process this. Exactly, feeling hatred after something like this is expected and normal. If they eventually forgive her, that's fine, but it's also fine if they don't. This is a huge betrayal. Now for the next story. 11 years together, with 2 years of fidelity. So, where to begin? I was with my now ex-wife and mother of my children for 11 years. I was living blissfully unaware, thinking we had a healthy/happy relationship. Sure. At the 5-year mark of dating, she left me for a few months and started dating a guy from her work. But she came back and expressed her severe regret and swore nothing happened while we were together. We got engaged 6 months after that, and had our first son the next year. We finally were about to get married when a close friend of mine broke the news. My soon-to-be wife had been cheating on me with a few different guys for years. My close friend had a friend that worked in the same restaurant as my girlfriend, and said it was widely known that she was having an affair with 2 different people. Needless to say, I didn't believe a word. I confronted my fiancée and she denied everything, and our wedding went on as scheduled. My no longer close friend sent me a note apologizing for giving me the bad news, but standing by what was said. Fast forward another year and we welcome our second son, and life is good. 2 beautiful happy boys, career is going well, she is able to be a stay-at-home mother and all seems great. We get to a point where she expresses to me that she is feeling a bit run down from the day-to-day monotony, and makes plans to go country line dancing with her girlfriends once a week. I think it's a great idea, it gives her a recharge and gives me a night alone with my kiddos. This goes on for a year or so, and again I am still blissful. Then the shoe dropped. In December, she sends me a text message while I am at work that she is moving out. Obviously shocked and devastated, I ask for answers and explanation, but only receive, "I haven't been happy for a long time." By the time I get home, she has moved all of her things out, she had cleaned out our savings account and had been renting an apartment for the past several weeks. My world is destroyed and flipped upside down. I go from coming home to my loving family and children daily, to not knowing when I will see anyone. Just to compound things, within 5 days, she is openly dating a guy from the country bar she had been visiting with her friends. Fast forward 6 months, we have arranged joint custody, spousal support, and are communicating quite well for the sake of the boys. I bring up the rumors of her cheating before we were ever married, and she finally confirms it's true and so much more. She had only been truly faithful the first year or so we dated, and had been with a number of men the rest of our relationship. Whenever she was out with her friends from work after getting off, she was with different guys. Now I don't even know for sure that my kids are mine. While I don't want her back, the pain felt the same. How could I be so blind, so unaware? I tried to be a kind and supportive husband, but I must have done something to push her away. A year and a half later, and I am used to the life I now have. I see my kids 50% of the time, and I have a very nice girl that cares deeply about me. But that doesn't change the fact that I lie awake at night and wonder if it would just be easier to end it all. I had the life I dreamed of and I lost it. I know people say it gets better, but that hasn't happened for me. Now for the top advice. Just don't marry that very nice girl. Definition of insanity is trying the same thing over again expecting different results. I explained to her that I will probably never marry again, but I fear she thinks my opinion will change over time. She really is kind and great, and deserves more than me. She will most definitely think your opinion will change. And a couple of other things evident here. I'm sorry you were the victim of such a vapid, malignant narcissist of a person, one who would be so Machiavellian as to trap a person in a marriage to depredate them of their emotions, their money and their support, while betraying them completely. It's not your fault. She's a broken person inside. She has a black hole inside her, telling her 24/7 that she's so freaking ugly and stupid and unattractive, that she needs male attention like it's as essential as air. She has no sense of self-worth outside that provided by men in her life. If I may take a guess, it would be due to a CPTSD episode inflicted on her by a male parental figure during childhood. You have essentially escaped from the maw of a cheater, a thief, and an abuser. Leave out her personal issues. The simple fact she was so flippant about traumatizing you repeatedly for 9 years, makes her an abuser. I personally view infidelity as psychological and emotional mistreatment. My viewpoint could be skewed due to my personal experiences, but it's unquestionably abusive to traumatize the person you supposedly love, to treat them as meal ticket, to not even have the respect to provide you the chance of moving on when they themselves moved on. Check your inbox. I've sent my recovery list. One of the activities and it will work for you, I promise. Please, self-harming ideation is never a good sign. Just think about your kids whenever it gets too hard for you. I'm really sorry for putting this pressure on you, for moralizing to a person who is so clearly human and suffering. I know I shouldn't put any more on your plate. But please, just anything but that. Don't take the blame, please. She is a toxic individual, destined to implode all of her relationships the same way throughout her life. She will keep burning all those bridges who aren't sycophantic enough for her, until she turns around one day and finds there's no one else left around her. So will it be for the pack of vultures her friend circle is? It's also physical mistreatment, as they may give STDs. Especially if they're serial cheaters, like my ex-wife and OP's wife. Indeed, my ex-wife gave me chlamydia due to her affair with AP. Do you intend to do the DNA test? No, I don't think so. They know I am their daddy. Are you concerned that later down the line they might do a 23andMe DNA test and find out? Seems like it could really blow up in everyone's face by not knowing. You do realize you don't have to share the results with anyone or let her know, right? But at least that way you can prepare for the possibility later. Even if they don't have your DNA, they are still your kids. I guess I see it exactly as you put it. Even if they don't have my DNA, they are my kids. Even if they do take a test later in life, and I turn out to not be their biological father, I don't see how me knowing that, and withholding the information makes it any better for anyone. Now for the last story. Please help. Possible cheating wife. This is my first post. I'm sorry for the length, but there are a ton of details. My heart and soul are in torment and I don't know where else to turn. Backstory: my wife and I, both late 30s early 40s, have been married for over a decade and we have several children of a wide age range. Our marriage has had its ups and downs through the years, but nothing major of note. Normally, we make about the same amount of money. Due to the pandemic, I'm currently bringing home roughly 3/4 of the household income. We work opposite hours with different days off, so we rarely have much time together. Our personalities and habits are different as well. I'm a homebody and she likes going out and doing things. Also, she was previously married before we started dating. Her ex was a habitual cheater, which according to her, led her to have an affair and subsequently move out of their house, and later divorce. We are both heterosexual and I have never had any reason to doubt her declared orientation. Lately, I've noticed several things in the last few weeks that lead me to believe that she's having an affair. She started going out late at night to visit one of her female friends, a single lesbian. Before leaving the house, she always takes long showers, 30 minutes or so. I've noticed that much of that shower time is due to the fact that she has started shaving her legs and other parts religiously. In all of our years together, she has never shaved anything during the winter. She rarely shaves her bikini area during any season. During the late nights when she isn't visiting her friend, she is talking for hours quietly to her on the phone in another room while wearing iPods. She has always had a passcode on her phone and used to leave it laying around or plugged into the charger unattended. Now, her phone is with her 24/7. I haven't seen it unattended since this strange behavior started. She even tucks it underneath her pillow while sleeping. She never goes to work without full makeup, even though she has to wear a mask. She very rarely wore makeup to work since the start of the pandemic. Her friend is a co-worker. During Valentine's weekend, according to her, had to stay the night at a hotel right by her work because they needed her to work the next day. She stayed away from home an additional night for the same reason. She didn't end up working another shift that next day. She came home the day after Valentine's Day. Also, we live less than 10 minutes from her job. I'm now the sole initiator of all kissing and intimate activity. The frequency of activities hasn't decreased, but the intensity has vanished. She's not into it as much as she always has been over the years. We had a talk the evening that she finally came home after being away for 2 days. I didn't accuse her of anything, but hinted around about how her behavior had changed dramatically in recent days. She immediately got on the defensive and started gaslighting me. Everything was, "I don't know what you're talking about," shifting immediately to "I'm delusional, and everything is my fault." As usual, when things develop into an argument between us, I ended up apologizing for a plethora of things that had no bearing on the situation, and there was no resolve whatsoever. I've talked about this situation with one of my close female friends who has been through hell, and back in her relationship with her now ex-husband. She believes that I'm probably right about an ongoing affair. She also thinks there's a small chance that my wife is just generally unhappy with her home life. However, both of us agree that there are just far too many warning signs for that to be the likely scenario. I believe that my wife and her friend got a little bit too tipsy one night and it has progressed into a regular thing. As it stands, I'm completely lost, confused, and heartbroken. My anxiety is through the roof not knowing what's happening now and what will happen in the future. I think there's a good chance that she wants a divorce, but won't admit it right now because I'm paying the majority of the bills. I'm almost 100% certain that once her job and paycheck return to normal, I'm getting the boot. I'm turning to anyone with this experience to please share any thoughts and advice that you might have to offer. Now for the top advice. It's pretty clear here. You have to hire a PI. Don't say another word to her. Act normal. There are so many ways to catch her red-handed. Putting a tracking device in her car, their son's iPad with tracking GPS on, or putting a smartphone recording audio in the room she makes her professional phone calls, etc. But honestly, if the state is a no-fault divorce state, I don't see the point. She's 1000% cheating. He should start planning his exit with a good lawyer, and for the love of God OP, don't tell her you went to talk with a lawyer or display any card you hold until she's served or you're served. We do live in a no-fault state, which is another reason that I have considered. At this point, I'm basically seeking confirmation just so we can go ahead and end the marriage. Especially with the fact that her work in 10 minutes away. Ugh, I hate reading this, it pains me so much because it brought back so many unwanted memories. Now I might only be 25 and way younger, so my knowledge of this doesn't include marriage or kids as that might sway your choice in staying or leaving, but my ex-GF was so similar, and I have to agree with your female friend, your wife is 100% doing something behind your back. If you don't believe me, just do what I did. I kept getting red flags about my ex-GF cheating on me, and well, I was trying too hard to get into her phone. I had to know the truth, as she wouldn't admit to anything because she lived with me. I first grabbed her phone, turned it off and turned it back on while she wasn't looking. When you do that, the phone requires you to use your key code, iPhones only, and I was sitting next to her and got the passcode. I just waited for her to go to sleep, but she would always put her phone under her pillow, which was impossible to get. She was always very defensive about her phone. I couldn't get to it without her knowing. At this point, I had to know, and I just quickly grabbed her phone from her hand and ran to my car and drove off to look at it in peace. Now I know this is a violation of privacy, but with so many red flags and everything that was going on, I had to take the risk and it paid off. I'm not telling you to do what I did, but I do not regret what I did as it opened my eyes to what was going on for months. I gotta say, you have more red flags than me, so I'm just being honest with you and letting you know to be prepared for the worst. I'm so sorry to read this because when I found it, it crushed me to the core. The worst pain I have ever felt in my life literally was worse than my father passing away. I don't know why, but it just did. If you need anyone to talk to, message me because God knows you're probably going to go through something much worse than me. I'll pray for you and hope we are both wrong, but don't be naive either. Now your situation is different since I have no kids and we weren't married, and thinking about it, I might consider reconciliation, but that wasn't an option for me. Maybe someone with a more similar experience can come in and help you out. I do wish the best for you and hope it's something else. Good luck. I hate to hear that you've been through this as well. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I've thought about doing exactly what you did and it looks like that's what it'll end up happening. Thanks for the words of support. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.